because I put this staff together. You put the players together. He reinforced that later. He said at the end of the day, it starts with me. Well, okay then, Jerry, if that be the case, you ain't gonna blame anything on the players. So ain't no part of you losing the game had anything to do with the players. It's all the coaches. Because that's what Jerry would have you to believe. Jerry, you got to take some culpability too, because you put this thing together now. Maybe you didn't put it together as well as you thought. But see, this Skip, that's what he does, Skip. You know what I'm saying? I put the coaches together. I signed Zeke. I got Dak. I got Jalen Smith. Got all these linemen tied up. I'm done with it. See, he wants all that credit. Give me all the credit when things are going good. Well, I don't want none of that. That's Jason Garrett. Got our coach. Skip, he said it in April. You already expect when you go to New England, we're going to get our coach. Man, I don't know, Skip. I might have felt some kind of way. You told me before I take this job,
well, sure.
We'll already know he ain't going to be Stephen A. Whoa, Skip. How am I supposed to feel about that? So how did Jason Garrett supposed to feel about that, Skip? You already told him, man, before he even set foot in Foxborough. Oh, he getting not coached.
That's not a good feeling.
Come on, Jerry. But like I said, Skip, he is so reactionary. His thought process so free, of a fan. Skip, you've been around this game too much. I mean, you've seen coaches and they're like, look, we just go back to work. We just got the things we got to correct. We're going to be okay. Especially owners. But Jerry rides the roller coaster. He's way, way high when we win. Oh, Skip, we going to Super first 3-0. Hey, he said it's the best team I've been around since the mid-90s. His Super Bowl caliber team. We had at the top. We discussed that, Skip. Like, whoa, wait a minute, Jerry. You got the winners 3 games into the season. You talking about that 90s team? No. But he's venting, and Jerry very few owners get an opportunity to vent because they don't have radio shows. They don't have TV shows. They might vent to a family member. They might vent to their wives. Or they might vent to the coaches and general managers behind closed doors. But Jerry happens to be the owner and the general manager, so he gets to vent twice. And normally the person that feels that vent or that wrath is who, Skip? The low-hanging fruit, Jason Garrett.
So I just heard a very different Jerry Jones than you heard. I've known him for a long time. I spent literally thousands of hours around him as I wrote 3 books on the Cowboys, so I know his thought patterns pretty well, and I know his speech patterns pretty well. This was a different Jerry. This is really good news for anybody who wants Jason Garrett out, and I'm the leader of that fan club and have been for about 4 years
Yes,
now.
you've been trumpeting it.
I have, but I agree with you. Usually right after a game, we get an over-emotional, happy, sad, fansy Jerry Jones. This was different. This was an angry general manager speaking. And I think we got that right after the game Sunday night.
Yes, you did.
Different mode of criticism where he was ready to lash out at Jason Garrett and the whole coaching staff. And he was asked point blank once again on his radio show, would you consider an in-season change? And he was a no, period, but then with a qualifier or a disqualifier because he said, look, I put this whole team together. I chose all those coaches. I helped choose all those players, and I paid all those players.
Yep, he did.
And now the buck stops with me.
Right.
So he, after he said no, period, then reopened the door to, I'm highly critical, he said.
That's going to be my decision.
Okay, so I slept on this one night, and I've thought hard about it, and I know what I would have done, maybe over-emotionally out of anger right after the game. I would have said enough is enough because I do believe this team is still loaded. This team has underperformed all year too long. This team has now fallen to 6-5. This team is way better than 6-5. It's way better than Jason Garrett. I still believe that he mostly has gone along for some good rides. I believe they're winning in spite of him. So I know what I would have done. I would have just plunged the way Jerry plunged in the oil fields for years, and I would have elevated Chris Richard to the head coach and parted ways with Jason Garrett, hoping it would spark, it would detonate my locker room and my team, which is on hair trigger to make a run through an NFC that I still believe is pretty wide open to win. And they still are in very good position with a game lead in the division to at least make the Super Bowl tournament. And a lot of times, all you need to do is make the tournament.
Right.
If you just get one of the slots,
right,
you're good if you detonate, if you take off
Get hot
at the
at
end
the
of
right
the season,
time.
if you get hot. We've seen those road wildcard teams, and this team would be obviously get one home playoff
Right.
game. But we've seen teams take off unexpectedly over the last 4 or 5 games. So to me, I love Chris Richard. I got a deep feeling, just a gut feeling, that he would be a better head coach than a coordinator. Well, he co-coordinates now with Rod Marinelli.
Right.
So it's not like you'd leave a gaping hole in the staff.
Right.
No, Rod Marinelli would just take over, and I'm sure Chris Richard would continue to coach the defense.
But you said after the game, had it been you, that you probably would have fired Jason Garrett because of the emotion. But isn't that what they ask players, to take 30 minutes to calm down after an emotional loss?
Yeah, I'm talking about if I slept on it
Yeah.
to Monday morning.
Oh, so
then
you'd
Monday.
fired him the next morning?
Yes, I would have fired him the next morning. And I realize this is a short week, and that could be a good thing, where you just throw your team onto the field and hope that instead of sinking, you swim against the Buffalo Bills. And this is not an easy test because Buffalo is pretty good.
Buffalo is very good.
Yeah.
But Skip, don't you want your owner, even after a great victory or a tough letdown of a loss, don't you want him to take time? That was just wrong. Jerry just stepped to the mic and just spewed his heart. Skip, he was thinking about this. When I get that, this I'm gonna say this. Coming from the owner's box until he walked into where the media was and started talking, this had been on his mind. He's seething as he's sitting there in that box watching his team. And he's like, my team is better than them. My team, my quarterback, my running back, my offensive line, my this, my that, my this, my that. Everything is better except the coaches. And we're losing because of coaching. He's thinking that. It came out as soon as he got to the mic.
Right. Remember, this team has not lost a 45-6 game.
Right.
It's lost narrowly
Right.
5 times.
Right.
That Green Bay, you can say, well, you fell behind 31-3, but at least they got back in the game and came within a botched field goal of having an onside kick.
Well, see, the thing is that Jerry also looks at, he's like, when we keep losing these close games, that's coaching. Skip, we get blown out. Maybe we're not at the talent level that we think we are. But we keep losing these close games. Well, how does one team, Seattle, win all these close games? We
Correct.
lose all these close games.
Last year, I must admit, this team, my team, won a bunch of close games.
Yes.
This team, they're not getting over the hump or the edge. They're not getting there. They're not making the play. You can say it's the quarterback's fault, or you can say it's just the psyche of the team. But my team in 11 games has fallen behind 8 times.
Right. That's not good.
That's no good.
No.
So you're not quite ready to play. One time they came out ready to rock, and it was after Dougie P, old Dougie Prediction said, I vow we're going down there and we're going to kick their ass. Okay, fine. It took that external motivation. So something is missing here for a loaded football team to suddenly take off. Well, again, I got a rule I call the 24-hour rule. This is just in my life. If I have a fight with Ernestine, I'm going to give it 24 hours. And if I wake up the next morning and I'm still mad, then we're going to have a long talk about it.
Right.
If I'm not, like if I just wake up and I think, oh, come on, that's just silly. I can't even remember what started the fight. What were we arguing about?
Right.
If I have a big issue here at work, I just do 24 hours. And then if I wake up and say, oh, come on, it's nothing. Go to the next day. Let's go. If Jerry Jones woke up this morning or yesterday morning, 24 hours later and said, you know what, I'm just as angry as I was. Maybe I'm more angry, because he sounded still angry in this radio interview.
Is that what happened with Jimmy? He went to bed angry and woke up and fired the next day? Or he was just angry all along and said, forget it, you out?
That was the 5-minute rule.
Yeah,
because
I think that
it
was a
took
24-hour
5 minutes
rule.
for him to walk out of that restaurant after he proposed a toast and Jimmy refused to lift his glass. This is after they'd won their second straight Super Bowl. To the Cowboys, that was the proposed toast, to a table full of assistant coaches, including our Dave Wanstead, Norv Turner, and others. And he proposed a toast, and at the far end of the table was Jimmy Johnson, who sat with his arms folded.
Harsh.
So, because
And,
you know
and just showed him up, and Jerry was standing.
I'm good.
Because Skip, you know how Jimmy is. Jimmy says, I'm the head coach, I run the show, I proposed the toast.
Correct.
And so that would be a problem.
Plus, they were having kind of a boys' night out at the.
And Jay like having a good time.
No, and so he wanted to mix it up with his coaches, and Jimmy's like, "You're not one of us. You're not. You don't belong here."
Right.
Okay, that was it. 5 minutes. He
Done.
fumed. He flew out of that restaurant, drove right back to the hotel. He walked in, saw 2 Dallas writers sitting at the lobby bar, and said, "Hey, you guys, come over here. I'm going to tell you what I'm going to do right now. I'm going to go fire Jimmy Johnson." What? You're going to go fire Jimmy
Those
Johnson?
2 writers, were they like, are you messing with me? Is this
They
real?
did. I believe one of them was Ed Werder and the other was Tim
really?
Kalashoff, I have, if memory serves. And that was it. And he did it.
Yeah.
He also suggested he just might go hire Barry Switzer to coach this team.
And he did.
And he did it.
But that was the thing, Skip. You mentioned last year they winning all these one-score ball games. Where was the congratulatory that Jerry gave him?
Well, what do you have to do? As Shannon Sharp reminds me, update your
my
resume. Am I right?
They're in first place.
Better update
They're in first place.
by default.
Oh, now
Well, is it not? 6 and 5 and you're in first place?
you told me yesterday it didn't matter. You're still in first place. That's what you told me.
I have seen enough of Jason Garrett. Nice guy, but as they used to say in baseball, Leo DeRocher once said,